From Shopify Rebellion, it's Scarlet.
Down in the bottom left on Jack and Alpha, it's the blue Protoss. It is Zoun from Alpha X.
You know, we had 1 week where those intro zoom-ins happened at a decent pace. That wasn't too quick, and it was glorious. It was the best feeling in the world. We got to say everything we wanted to say, and then we could do the intro. But it looks like they're back to the super speedy, get it done and over with, and then head on into the game.
You think of like the Korean players and stuff, how they're known to be like some of the best. They have some of the fastest fingers and stuff, and apparently a lot of the casting and stuff as well in that region is super speedy as well, or the observing. But I almost feel like it's kind of like a GSL style where, you know, we see them where they don't really kind of intro them. They just like zoom in so you know, oh, okay, this is Zoun, this is Scarlet kind of thing. And, you know, you don't want to spend too much, I guess, on just introductions because you do want to get into those games and see, especially what these players want to do. We do actually see Scarlet taking that natural in the third base location, just as a safety precaution, as well as with Zoun having that probe and being able to deny the natural block, essentially.
Hey, listen, my personal opinion is if you want to do the quick zoom in with the names, at least have an epic voice read them off.
Yeah.
You know? Go full GSL.
That's what we're for.
Yeah.
Alpha X, Zoun.
Shopify Rebellion, Scarlet. Just, you know, really
That's
throwback.
Guys, it's been confirmed. We are the next voice pack here, so.
Yeah, GSL hit me up if you need someone to do the names. I could do it, you know.
Yeah. Just give me a script. I'll read it.
Yeah, you just need me to read names and teams. Oh, that's easy.
I like it because I talked about this yesterday on the stream as I was casting some other tournaments. But it used to be when I did like smaller leagues, you get into some of the names and it's like the way that they spell their names is so weird, and you don't know how to pronounce it. It looks like you look at like Zoun's name and it's like Zoun, and it's like no, it's actually something else. So it's like as a caster, being able to read a name and then also like be able to pronounce it properly, it's like. It looks like it's, you know, Bob the Builder, but it's actually Samunga Donga or something like that. It's like, I would have never gotten that from how it's spelled.
That's the great Shamanga Donga. We all know him.
Yeah. The greatest Protoss player alive, apparently.
Yeah. He invented modern day Protoss as we know it. But yeah, I mean, it's always fun. I also like with GSL, I always like listening to how they change up how they introduce the players, like the actual voice that they use, because I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure it's the same guy every season. But he does change his voice sometimes. So it's like there was one season where he was like Alpha X Scarlet, and then it's like the next season he was like Alpha X Zoun, and it's like it's very entertaining to see. It's kind of what they go for.
It's kind of like voice acting, right? They tell you to do like 5 different things. It's like, now do it sad. Alpha X. Zoun.
They're like, are they holding him at gunpoint? What's going on? But anyway, looking at the game, because there is some interesting stuff going down, it does appear that Zoun has some special strategies prepared for Jaganappa. Going on into, I believe this is 4-gate with the Glaive Adepts. It's not a complete all-in, but it is meant to apply some pressure to try and get some damage done. And this is, of course, going to be with a third base behind it. So, light pressure build. I do like this build a lot. I think that if the Zerg isn't prepared, you can end up getting a lot of damage. But even if you don't, just keeping the Adepts alive offers you a lot of utility in defending that third base. You do see Scarlet, though, heading up into that Roach Warren, so she will, have the defenses necessary. She is also building a lot of Zerglings, just getting ready for this push.
Yeah.
Actually, I think she thinks this is a bit more committed than it actually is, because that's a Spine Crawler going down, and you don't need a Spine Crawler to hold the 4-gate version.
No, but the big thing too is right now we see the warp gate going into the main. That's going to allow for some reinforcements, and sometimes we see the Protoss actually attacking in 2 different places at once to really smoothen out basically where the Zerg can attack. And the Ling's not going to get too much done, as we see Zoun actually just shading back and forth between the bases, trying to get as much damage as possible. More roaches are getting ready to pop out, but this is looking pretty good so far from Zoun. He's only got 4 kills though, so we'll see if he can get anything else here.
Yeah, I mean, actually now this is getting a lot more damage done as the drones aren't pulled. 12 workers going down, super efficient. 14, 15, very good focus fire. 16 workers in total go down, and it looked like SCARLETT might hold that for a while there. But Zoun positioning well with the shades, hopping back and forth, making sure to pull the Zerg out of position, and now behind this, getting up an Immortal. And I mean, just gonna have to defend this follow-up push because it's going to be so scary, because this might just be an all-in here from SCARLETT.
Yeah, we do see the transition into the robotics facility, so that will allow him to eventually get up into the Colossus, which is pretty good against these Lings. And like you said, the Immortal is on the way, getting ready to pop out, which will help out against the Roaches initially. Now, the third base was trying to be taken here from, from Zoun, but with the Lings being there, not going to be able to happen there. And so now we see Zoun trying to push this back with the Adepts, with a couple of Stalkers, and now that Immortal, and finally he will be able to throw that down. So another thing to note as well, the warp gate, or excuse me, the warp prism is still across the map, which allows Zoun to start warping in more Adepts, more Zealots, whatever, across the map. Nice little wraparound though coming out here from SCARLETT.
Yeah, I mean, the Adepts, though, again, they're just so good against the Zerglings. There's so much loss there. You see 4 workers go down across the map as Zoun. It's like just those 4 Adepts pushing in. The face cams did disappear because I think Zoun accidentally just became a robot and turned into the OBS that they were using. Yeah. So they're fixing that up. We'll get those face cams back. But as it is now, our blue Protoss here from Alpha X, I think in just a wonderful position. Again, has had the worker lead for the past 2 minutes or so. Only now is SCARLETT getting it back. But by the time she does, well, you have the Protoss taking a third base. You have the Protoss getting into their Colossus tech. And it just means that SCARLETT right now is, even though it looks like, oh, it's even, well, that usually means the Zerg is very far behind.
Yeah, and the thing too is, like, with Zerg, you have larva. They have to use that larva not only to make their army or like even their like supply, but also they have to make drones with it. So when you do a lot of damage like that, what we saw earlier here from Zoun, you end up seeing that larva being used. So that's not being utilized to make more roaches or lings, or to even be able to make overlords. She's having to use that to make drones, and so it really just kind of helps in that way for the push here.
Yeah, this might just be a deadly push. The 4th base isn't even done yet, so Zoun pushes in here and says, well, I guess I can just clear up some creep. And there's that spine crawler from earlier, says, hey, I didn't get to do my job. I'm gonna be useful now. And, well, now he's dead. So, that spine crawler, a poor story. Not much life has been lived from him, as now it's gonna be Zoun pushing through. It's 2 Immortals just gonna try and punch through all of the roaches. The wraparound from SCARLETT, though, seeing how much damage she can get done, but here are the Adepts as well to clean it up, and I think this push just might be too much. Zoun has too much. 15 more roaches in the way, but I do not think that will be enough to hold. GG is called. Wonderfully played game 1 from Zoun, and Alpha X now on match point. I love occasionally they have the names. I don't think, yeah, okay, they finally swapped it so they're on the right side, but occasionally when it gets into the game, the races are actually swapped with the player names. So you'll see like the blue Protoss and it's a red name, SCARLETT. Yeah. It takes them a little bit to switch it around, but they eventually got it, so we're not gonna have any of that shenanigans. But yeah, I mean, for Zoun, a win here, and Alpha X get the 4-2. They tie up Shopify Rebellion in the standings, and that means that, again, there's that chance that if Team Liquid loses, they get that 3-way tie fighting for that fifth place.
Definitely.
5th place.
That's going to be interesting if we get like 4 people all the same score going into like the next weeks and stuff. It's going to be interesting. So we do actually see SCARLETT come in trying to take the natural, but obviously Zoun going to be delaying that, and it's just being pesky, being a Protoss.
Yeah, this is SCARLETT saying, "Look at me! I'm taking my natural base. What do you mean something's wrong?" And Zoun is not falling for it. He actually went double gate. He's getting the cyber core. He's like, "No, you're going for an early pool. Get out of here."
Yeah, this is definitely something that SCARLETT likes to do. We see 4 lings on the way, the queen on the way as well. Finally gets that hatch down, and now Zoun going to just sit that probe in the front and see, hey, are you sending anything across? Are you going to get that super aggressive play? And we'll see. You're going to see the Lings coming through. Eventually, we'll take care of the probe, but...
Ooh. If Zoun here actually sees the gas, that's actually a really big indicator of the fact that SCARLETT is actually researching speed. Because usually, if you go for an early pool, you can just go like an early 14 pool, 16 pool, before your hatchery without the gas, and then you just expand out of it, go into a macro game. But this is with the speed also being researched, so that kind of does indicate that SCARLETT, I guess, would want to try and get some damage done, but now that it's been scouted, she might just have to back out and try and take this into a standard game.
Definitely. Oh, and the good thing too is, like, even if you do go early pool, one, it's going to allow you some extra defense if your opponent goes aggressive, but it's not so much of a commitment where, you know, your overall, you know, income or just mineral, you know, wise is going to suffer that much. Like, yeah, it delays maybe a little bit, but you're going to be ready. You can kind of tech out of that and not have too much worries. And we actually are going to see Zoun go into that Stargate play. So we should be seeing the Oracles, maybe even just going straight Void Ray first. And we're definitely going to see a little bit different game from the previous one.
And it says it's going to be a bit more aggressive. So I was right. SCARLETT, she doesn't want to play this out safe. She doesn't want to go into a macro game. There's the Roach Warren being popped down before or right around when the third base is going down. So this third hatch, it's kind of like that juke hatch, where if you scout it out as the Protoss, you're like, oh, okay, they're taking a third base. Cool, I'm safe. But little do you know, it's actually false. They're just going to be producing roaches. But Zoun, he just has a perfect read. I mean, there's not much else to say. The Void Ray is how you counter this.
Yeah, it's kind of like a red herring, and it's kind of fit that SCARLETT is red, and having a little bit of red herring with that third hatch. But I definitely agree. Wants to get aggressive with these roaches, and you know, we'll see. Does Zoun go into more than just one? Eventually, we do see him sometimes take like 2 Stargates. He has a couple different like transitions from it, but getting, you know, essentially sieged up in that position, and okay, going to go into an Oracle behind this. You see the Void Ray. Do you just continue on with this? Do you feel like, as SCARLETT, you have to just commit to this attack? Or do you think you could just sit back and, you know, just build up and say, okay, now I have these units for later on for, like, another timing?
Now you can't, because the Adepts scout that the natural base is not saturated at all. They see the roaches, they see the Lings, and Zoun's like, oh, okay, this is happening. Yeah, 2 queens are being brought across. That we'll be able to, you know, shoot at the Void Ray. It won't be able to get a lot of damage done, though. And you see Zoun, he's just preparing for this. I would like to see another Void Ray added on, as you see that popped into the production tab. But this is a powerful push. It can't be underestimated. The Void Ray is the only thing that can really deal with the queens. But once the queens are dealt with, then suddenly there's a lot more utility that the Void Ray can be used for to try and clean up the roaches. And that's one queen already going down. The second one getting focused by the Oracle. A lot of damage, but there go the queens. The queens are down. The Void Ray is still alive, and the force fields are good. I just think Zoun holds this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, SCARLETT was trying to hold on to this, cross-biling onto the shields, eventually trying to get on top of the Void Rays. But yeah, taking out those queens and, you know, essentially just eliminating any kind of counter resistance to the Void Rays and the Oracles. SCARLETT is trying to scramble. She's got more queens on the way across, and again, trying to utilize those accelerator zones to get those queens across quicker. But she's basically fully committing to this, and she has to keep going or end up tapping out. So you see the gas finally being taken here, additional gateways and the Twilight Councils to kind of go back in this. Eventually, I think he goes into maybe just Blink to get on top of this, but I don't even think it's going to matter. The force field's going to go down one more time. Crucibles trying to land once again on those shields to eliminate any extra potential healing. And again, we haven't even seen Zoun take the overcharge. So this has just been all off of the regularness of these shield batteries here. Ooh, gets
Void Ray does go down. Second one. Oh, there's the overcharge to keep it alive. And SCARLETT, I mean, almost got it, but The slow walk of the queens is not really enough to make this work, and she might try and go for a second follow-up, but at this point, Zoun, he's just going to keep pumping those Void Rays. He's going to get up the Zealots with charge, and at that point, this is held. SCARLETT should eventually tap out. I mean, Zoun just a perfect read on everything. Noticed the early Lings, got the wall off, got the Nexus, noticed the early Roaches, and said, all right, well, I'm just going to go into this Stargate. I'm going to get up my defenses. I'm not going to try and be too greedy. Just shutting down SCARLETT at every single turn.
We even see charge now coming through for him, and he's in a pretty comfortable position. The only thing that I could see maybe bad for Zoun is he's not really expanding. But when you have a Zerg player like this that's not making drones, just going full on army, I don't really think you have to worry about expanding, and just, kind of keep yourself tucked, defend what you have to, and then eventually you can just kind of outlast your opponent and push through this. So we do see another push coming out here from SCARLETT. She's got quite a bit of Lings, a few more of those Ravagers, and the Queens coming in here, and I just feel like the more and more she keeps pushing into this, the further behind she's getting here.
Yeah, I mean, this is the last chance here with this army. It's 4 Queens against 2 Void Rays, a whole bunch of Lings, and some Ravagers. This is all that SCARLETT has, and she has to break the Protoss with it. His piling down these gateways is going to be able to create a lot of surface area, though, so this is already a good start to this second follow-up, but you need to hit before charge gets here, because once those Zealots have charge, those Queens, well, they're out in the front, they're not going to be too useful, and there it is, charge coming through. Zerglings are going to get cleaned up. Some good Corrosive Biles knocks down one of the Void Rays, but you still have so many shield batteries. The Queens are slow. They're not able to, kite back at all, and the Zealots getting a ton of damage down onto them. Queens, though, 3 of them still alive. Oh, Biles gets that Void Ray low once again, but I think this might just be cleaned up. I think Zoun has enough. The Charge Lots, the Stalkers, the Void Rays will be able to clean up the last of SCARLETT's army. There's the GG. That's going to be the 2-0 for Zoun, and that's going to be the 4-2 victory for Alpha X.